maybe in the interest of time, we get started, and Steph's got to leave by 7, so let's get rolling and get this out of the way here. So
I know I have to go at like in like 40 minutes or so too. So like I'm gonna stick around until then, just so you know.
Awesome. Good to see you, Lily.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead. We'll get started with the first thing, like we always do, is I did send out a copy of the minutes from our January meeting. Did everybody get a chance to look at those?
Yeah.
And as a reminder, just so everybody does realize, all of these meetings are being recorded, and so any questions on the minutes or anything, you can go back and watch. And it is interesting to see there are lots of views that are starting to pop up on a lot of the different town meetings. So I think we should all keep that in mind as well. So
Mark, under H, public hearings, that's RSM, not RHB or RMB.
okay. H. It's RSM, right?
RSM, correct.
Okay. Thank you. Hey, you actually did look at them.
No, I just saw that mistake early on, and that's the only thing I really looked at.
Oh, great. All you're going to do is point out the mistakes I made. So anyway, so if any questions other than that, I can make that change real quick and easy. Any other questions on the minutes?
Mark, I'll just tell you, I did see your email today about posting the minutes on the webpage.
Yep.
I think when Sam left, just none of us thought about it. So I'll get them all posted. The ones
Okay,
that have
I
all been
appreciate.
approved.
Is that? Are you the right avenue? Is that where I should be sending them, or is there some
That's
other way I
fine.
should do it? Okay.
Yeah. I play with the website a lot, so it's easy enough for me to put it up there.
Now that you do everything there.
No, by far, no.
Well,
We all wear lots of hats, so that's just the way it is.
There's just fewer people wearing hats.
Yeah, so we each get to wear more. One of my coworkers said the other day, and I thought it was funny. Someone asked her how she was doing, because there's several of us who have taken on a few more things, and she said, "Well, my head hurts from changing my hats all the time." I said, "Yeah, yep, that's about right." Sorry about the dog earlier. We have some ice falling off the roof, and he thinks it's trying to get us. So
any discussion? Are we good? If someone wanted to make a motion, we could approve those, and I could send those off and give Sarah one more thing to do.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, so moving right along then. Sarah had actually sent me an update. Sarah, do you just want me to kind of read through the email that you sent me with the town updates, and then if there's anything that's popped up since then, that would be
sure, because I don't remember everything I said, and of course it's
okay.
Yeah, and it's probably not all inclusive. It's just what I could think of. So if you
really the biggest updates, we talked last month about the pirate ship at Outhouse Park. So that is going to be a resolution before the town board at their next meeting. So that expenditure is going to have to be approved by resolution. So Troy's done all the legwork on tracking down the best quote, and he looked at all the material that we had looked at before. So there will be a resolution at the next board meeting to add some playground equipment at Outhouse Park. The next thing was, I'm going to jump around just a little bit from what was sent, but the comp plan update, everything, Sarah has sent that along to Eric. So Eric's still working over in Niagara Falls on finishing up that comp plan. So he's going to take the things, if you remember, I kind of crafted some kind of wordsmith things and combined some goals and things. So I had sent that along to Sarah. She sent that to Eric. We will have another opportunity to get a look at any of the changes and everything that have come along with the comp plan. So again, in works, and I think maybe it's kind of slowed down with everybody taking all the time to change their hats. So that's kind of slowed down progress, but it's still ongoing. I don't know how many people saw this, kind of interesting to me, but I think it started a couple of years ago, the draft Middle Cheshire Road Plan. That actually was just sent out. There was a link. hopefully we're all on the email list and we're getting the updates from the town. But kind of the whole transportation plan, I think it was Genesee Valley. Sarah, I'm not exactly sure, Genesee Valley Council on Transportation or some fancy name, but.
Yeah, the Genesee Transportation Council is the group that is the granting agency, but it's state and federal money. And then we've gotten a few grants from them. We've been working with them for a few years now. But yeah, so it was I think it started in late 19, and then of course we had a bit of a delay last year, but it's coming to a close now.
So hopefully you've had a chance, and as Sarah indicated in her email to me, not strictly parks related, but really the whole idea of transportation, and there's quite a plan from Wells Curtis Road all the way down into the city, down past the hospital. So looking through the plan, it was pretty impressive plan. So, hopefully there's the money there to make a lot of those things, but
Mark.
when we talk about trails and connectedness and all that there's a lot in that plan, bicycling and everything else for that whole Middle Cheshire corridor. So hopefully everyone's had a chance to at least realize that's also something out there that's in the works. So I don't know, Sarah, anything you want to add on that?
Mark, I went to the meeting where they presented the plan. It's an interesting, I think, really well done plan where they're at now, but it definitely has some impact on the parks and especially the trails because of the two opportunities to create trails going from Middle Cheshire Road down to Westlake Road. So one of them, of course, is the RSM property that we have that's currently in process. The other one is the wetlands here on the other side of my house on Laurel Lane that would go down to the water treatment center. So it would be a combination of work by both the town of Canandaigua and the city of Canandaigua. And I encourage all of you to take a look at it because the way they have put it together, the sidewalks, they plan on sidewalking the entire Middle Cheshire Road with little park-like stops, like where there would be crosswalks, there would be a park bench and a different type of sidewalking. And it would go all the way down to the switchback trail in the corner of the bypass and Middle Cheshire Road. They would have a bigger one of these areas to rest areas. And of course, they're looking at making a crosswalk across the bypass to go into town. And there again, when it comes to the hospital, Parish Street, there would be coordination between the city and the town. Again, it's really interesting. I thought it was very well done. It looks really expensive, but we can cross that bridge when we come to it.
Just looking through the plan, I thought, again, it's pretty impressive just seeing all the work that was done and
Yes.
great vision for the potential and what can be there. Dan, you had emailed me before about that little section. You'd seen some I guess looking at the ownership of that land on by Laura Lane there. So this plan does take a look at that land and is part of kind of a long range plan to connect that, down through into the city land along Laura Lane there. So
yes, some elevated decking walkway through the swamp would be really cool.
So again, all awesome things, kind of in the works, I think. So, but as Karen said, it all comes down to money, right, Karen?
Well, my understanding is, and from the information they were giving, is that every so often, and from Sarah, every so often grant opportunities open up, and they're different whenever they open up. So you just have to be alert. And of course, we have Sarah. And Sarah spends 24/7 on the alert for grant opportunities. So I think some of it will come to fruition. I think that when they look at it, they'll look at the most important parts first and try to get that accomplished. Isn't that right, Sarah?
Yeah, I mean, it's planning too. So like this is like a concept level plan for all of these. So we would have to first try and maybe look for some funding for the engineering of it,
Mhm.
and then try and get funding for the construction. And there are grant programs that we already know about that we can look at for both of those pieces, or both of those parts of the process for all the sections. And this is long-term stuff, you know, and we typically, from my experience with the town, we typically take off pieces here and there and work on it bit by bit to reduce the cost, and that it's been working pretty well. So we'll see. It hasn't been adopted by the town board yet. I think they seem like they like it, so I have a feeling they might adopt it. But yeah, so we'll see where it goes after this. Think good thoughts.
The next update really had been Sarah just kind of giving an update over the lakefront purchases. The public hearing was closed at the February 15th town board meeting on the Tishner Point. So I guess at this point, there's no public hearing type of action left, but I know that Doug had sent me an email that the town board, I guess, has really spent a lot of time addressing a lot of the questions and a lot of the concerns. Seems like, Sarah, this is another place where your name popped up as far as going through some of the list of questions, and it looks like the town board is going to hold a special meeting really just to address some of the questions that came out of those public hearings. Is that kind of the right way to phrase what they're going to do?
Yeah, so my understanding is that on March 8th, they're going to hold an information session. I don't believe it will be a Q&A, as in back and forth dialogue between the town board and the residents. I think it's going to be kind of a one-way, presenting all the information that's been gathered. There's a web page that Doug spent hours putting together on the town website with information and answers to questions, and to what he could answer so far, and then all the communications that have been received to date. So yeah, my understanding is March 8th is going to be just an informational session for anyone who wants to come. And I think it's going to be
It's at
information
6.
based on all the questions that have been asked so far.
It's at 6 p.m. on March 8th.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
In looking at kind of at the little draft that Doug had sent me, it really looks like it does a good job of looking at things like usage at Onanda Park, and the improvements that have been made in current conditions at Onanda Park. So I think for any of us that can attend, I think that's a good informational meeting for us as well to, there's really a lot going on, that they've also looked at a lot of the traffic studies, and Doug, and I'm sure Sarah and everybody else at the town's put a lot of time into, researching and answering some of these questions, and road conditions on 16 and everything else. So pretty amazing document, the time that it's taken to address all those issues. So, that really is kind of moving forward into addressing those concerns, which is a huge piece. Is people have legitimate concerns, and it's on us to make sure that they're investigated and looked at. So the public hearing, Sarah, was still open on the RSM piece, so that one is still open. So really
Yeah.
that'll go on to the March meeting then, I
Yeah, it was
assume.
continued to the March 15th meeting, and I don't know what'll happen with that at that meeting, whether it'll be continued or closed or.
Okay. So anything else on the questions on the purchase that maybe Sarah would have an answer to, or concerns or comments?
I think it's important that we all weigh in. If you haven't sent an email, send one. But only if it's positive, send one.
And if you're curious about everything that's been asked or commented on so far, you can go to the website. I don't know what the link is right off the bat, but I'm sure if you search Lakefront Purchase, it may also be under projects and Lakefront Purchases. That's where all the information that Doug gathered is on, and he really should get the credit for all the research. He's been spending a lot of time trying to put this all together to answer everyone's questions. And the town board too. I mean, they've all spent lots of time on this.
Do any other questions on that aspect, or any of the town updates or anything? Or Sarah, anything you want to add to?
No, I don't have anything to add on that.
The next thing that I had on the agenda was recreation programming with the city. And I got an email also from Doug. It looks like the plan, I'm not sure how much of a trial it's going to be, or if we're hoping, but it looks like for this year, we're going to really partner with the city. And I'm looking here, Heather, is that Heather from the city? Really going to join forces and combine the two programs together, and for this year, kind of look at a joint program where the program's going to run through city facilities, town facilities. Registration's going to be together. It's really going to be one unified program. Kind of is the goal for the Parks and Rec program for this summer, which to me sounds like a great idea with the loss of people at our own office. So does that really kind of sum up what the gist of it, Sarah, as far as how we're going to run that program this year?
Yeah, pretty much. And Heather's always done the coordination of the day camp that's run at, Onanda, Baker, and Sonnenberg. So for her to take on helping us with some of our other programs we do I don't think it's a big leap. I mean, it's definitely more time, but for her, I think it's totally doable. And yeah, I'm with you. I'm not sure what'll happen next year, but it should work out okay for this year.
And really, I mean, it's a timely thing right now. I mean, now's the time when we get started on getting the brochure printed up and,
Yep.
and getting the information out. And so I assume that the city would handle, or Heather through her office would handle all the registration, and everything would happen through their Parks and Rec office.
I think so, yeah. And they typically have always done the registration for the like my kids have gone to the park at Onanda for like 5 years, and I've always turned it into the city.
Yeah.
So I imagine that the other programs are going to work the same way. So it should be fine. I think it'll work. And I mean, it might look a little different, but hopefully it won't look too different for the attendees, and the parents.
I think it's a great opportunity again for, all the talk about shared services and everything else is they have a Parks and Rec department with a Parks and Rec person. I think it's a great fit, and see how it works. So any other questions on the Parks and Rec as far as programming getting started for the summer camps? The next thing that had come up, and really I was just a question, Sarah, and I'm glad you're here. The Fisher Associates put out that a call for input, about the plan for the Auburn Trail, the connection, and sent things to homeowners and property owners along that section for their input. Just curious as to how the feedback's been, or if there's been a good response to their survey, any initial reports.
There has not been a lot of feedback that I've seen so far. A handful of people. I think some people, their initial response isn't always good because they didn't know about it, or there have been a couple people who are not very excited about the idea. But some of them, I think part of it is they're not exactly sure how right of way works. I think they're worried we're going to come and put something right in their front yard and on their own land, when I think for a lot of this, it's supposed to go in the right of way. But with any of these things, I hope we'll get some more feedback. So we did mail it out to every landowner who has property that would be either across the road from the trail or on the same side, from Purdy Road all the way down to Thomas, I want to say. And from there south, MRB is working with us for the same thing. It's just that the part in the south is going to be more in-house, and the section that we had Fisher working on is a little more complicated. There's a little more work. There's a wetland across. So we had them help, but If I need to, I can send that link to the flyer and stuff. I think I put it in the newsletter last month, but
Yeah, you sent it out, I think, to
Did
all
I?
of us who
Okay.
sent that after our last meeting, that link and information on it. So,
yeah.
yeah. But I
Yeah,
was just
so-
curious.
Yeah, there hasn't been a lot of feedback, and the people who are contacting us are the ones who have the concerns. So, but Fisher Associates is putting together a response for each of them to try and answer their questions and explain stuff that, you know, maybe they weren't sure about. And so hopefully, you know, for some of them at least, hopefully they'll come around to it. Because I think a lot of times people, when they don't like something, what I've experienced is because they don't understand it all the way, or they think it's worse than, you know, and when we talk to them about it, they're like, oh, okay, I get it, you know. So we'll see.
Good, good. Next thing on the agenda, Dan had brought up the idea of QR codes. And I don't want to lose it. I think it's a fantastic idea. And I don't know really if we kind of left it hanging out there after our last meeting. And speaking of left it hanging out there, I'm driving home from the dump, and hanging on my mirror is my new town dump sticker with a QR code on it. And I'm thinking, you know, we've got to be able to parlay this into something at the parks. So I wonder if that's kind of really a short range thing right now that we could jump on. I'm thinking to maybe print up 5 or 6, you know, quick plaques, or, you know, I envision the little plastic, you know, printed things or engraved things with a QR code at a park that says, how are we doing? Or how was your visit? And even if we just quick start with a link to Google or something like that and start looking at those reviews, it just seems like a quick and easy thing to start getting some feedback for us on the parks. So
Yeah.
Dan, I don't know if
love
there's any
that
more.
idea, Mark. I think it's a great idea to do that because it is quick. It's easy. If we can just kind of pull it together, it would work out great.
I mean, I would
Very
see
low
something
cost.
as simple as printing, you know, 7 plaques for 7 parks, or 14, you know, 2 different areas that,
Yeah.
you know, how was your visit? And it links right to that Google, or I don't know what would be the best site to do that.
I think
So-
Google Forms probably, and like most phones, if you just go to the camera, you know, like but I think Google Forms, if you connect like a Google account, then that's how you get the feedback and put a couple questions.
Even as simple as leave your reply with on the Dan, there's a thing on a map maybe, or you were talking about last month.
Yeah, all the parks have a Google location on on their maps. And so if you link right to that, it's just that there's a place right there to enter your review or upload pictures if you want to. I mean, we could get crazy later on and have like viewpoints from Onanda, or, you know, someplace where you could take a picture and upload your photo from that particular spot. But the feedback of how was their visit would be key, I think, right at like the gates, or, you know, some key spot there. I like you sent me a picture of that one. It's like a 3D plastic, it's like very durable and would never wear out. I think that's pretty cool.
Well, I know even the school has the ability, you know, the little plastic engraved things that they print on those plastic engraved things that you could,
Yeah.
you know, they screw up outside the outdoor bathrooms that, you know, they can print whatever they want on them. And I just wonder if something would be that simple and that easy to,
Yeah.
you know, I don't want to see a laminated piece of paper, you know,
Yeah.
that just kind of seems cheesy but
right.
So Sarah, what would it take, do you think, to generate a couple of those and see what type of feedback we do get as we, you know, the snow's melting and hopefully we're starting to see more and more people in the parks, and it might be a quick, easy way to see that you know, the doggy bag disposal is full, or you know, a branch is blown down or something like that.
I mean, generating the QR code is easy. The hardest part is deciding where you want it to go. So yeah, is it whatever turns up that Google review page, you know, for each park, or is it a Survey Monkey that we create that we can then take the data from, or, you know, yeah, I mean, that's the hardest part. what do you want the code, where do you want it to send them?
Do we start with something as easy as how was your visit? And then we can log into that Google and see how the visit was. And if we find that we're getting a good response, and if we're finding that we could get more data, then we proceed from there.
I
We
think
just
we need to do, I think we need to do a couple things. I mean, I think we need to scatter those everywhere. I mean, on all the parks, all the Tishner Point, all this park acquisition stuff is that the parks are underutilized. So I think we can really come after that by, I don't know what it costs to send those everywhere, but we really probably need to do that just to capture that data.
You can start slow if you need to, just to test it. Get a couple out there, have people, even town employees or whatever, try it out, see what happens when they, scan that code and go to the site, and have a couple of people post some reviews and start looking at them and see if it turns out to be useful, then increase where you put them, and maybe even a little bit of advertising and try to get people to use them more often. I would recommend a trial with a couple key locations.
I mean, I see something, Miller Park's the perfect place where, everybody parks in that parking lot, and there's kind of one main area that a 4x4 sitting right there, or by the first bench there, or, everybody walks by the guardhouse at Onanda or something like that, or, on the, near the playground at Outhouse. It just seems like we could put, 4 or 5 of those up pretty quick, and at least see if people are gonna, use that avenue and see what's happening.
Mark, you said a school can print them. Can someone take it on as a shop class to knock out a couple of those?
I could check. Let me check into that.
And then I have a question too, is, how do you know that the reviews you're seeing, which ones came from people using the QR code? I don't think there'd be any way to know that. Because we have no control over the reviews on Google,
That's true.
we can't change the way they review, or have we can't make a box that says, I checked, I used the QR code at Onanda for this review,
Well,
That's true. You would have to.
I don't know if that matters, and maybe it doesn't matter, but it's just something to think of. You wouldn't know if they're actually using them.
Yeah, I
Unless they
guess you just
mentioned
have
it
to
in
kind of
their
rely
comment.
on the uptick in numbers of reviews, maybe, or the volume.
yeah, I think initially, are we getting a ton of reviews now? And I think if there was a leading question, how was your visit? Maybe we could tell by their reply, that. And if we've had 5 views over the last 5 years, all of a sudden, if we have 30 views,
Yeah.
I think we could assume that it's, from adding those plaques. But I think it's a good way to get started, and then maybe work on generating a survey monkey or whatever that, it takes them to a survey on their park with 5 quick questions or something like that.
Yeah, I think the question is, do you want this information to be publicly available for other people to view, the reviews and such? Or are you just interested in gathering information that we would have privately? Like what a survey monkey would do for you.
And then the other thing is, if you ever wanted to change the QR code, you'd have to make a new sign. Or are the signs you're talking about, do they have something where you could slip something in?
It could be as simple as a piece of plexiglass that you slide something behind, but most of these little plastic signs are that you could engrave them, and they say Mr. McNeil's classroom, and when I retire, they're going to replace another one the next day. They probably won't even give me that one, but typically, I think I don't think there's much cost to it.
Okay.
So, but let me look into what it would cost. And really, it's just a little plastic. If you search QR code at a park, you'll see 100 Google images of different examples, and some of them lead to a map trail, or it leads. They put it next to the maple tree, and it tells them the scientific name of the maple tree, and things like that. Which again, long range things, and moving ahead, maybe that's additional things that we add. Sarah, would you see any problem with adding that and maybe trying that out at, in 4 or 5 locations and then just looking at Google and saying, hey, here's what we're seeing?
I think it's a neat idea. If the goal is to try and drive more reviews that we can then use to kind of gauge, people's satisfaction with the parks, then I think that would be a way to do it.
And then I think if we're seeing that the people are taking advantage of that, then maybe we turn it into more of an attendance type tracker, or, then we suit it specifically to that park and into that, to that visit and work more, towards a tracking device rather than a review device.
Yeah.
So.
You just would have to change it, make new signs every time. Because once you make, and I've only used QR codes a little bit, so I don't know if there's some more advanced one, but the free ones, when you make them, you can't edit them.
Right.
So
Right.
they go where they go forever. And if you want
Yep.
it to go somewhere else, you have to make a new code.
Yep. And again, I don't think that it's a huge expense, to generate 5 or 6 of these, so.
Yeah. Mark, and if you have an idea of some example products, maybe you could email me
Okay.
so we have an idea of cost.
Dan, would you be willing maybe over the next couple of weeks to sit down and talk about a couple of ideas and
Yeah, let's grab a laptop and do some searching and come up with some ideas.
okay. No, I think anything that we start to gather and track any information and I think it's a good learning experience, if nothing else, to, see if it's a good tool for us. So anything else on kind of that idea as far as now, if we can get it kicked off and get it started? The next item I had was starting to think about summer events again. We canceled our movie night. We canceled our the concert in the park. I don't want to lose track of that. I don't feel like we've got a great direction yet from what the summer is going to look like and what is going to be allowed and able. But I think if we at least get an idea of when we would want to do these events and maybe reach out to I know that Mike Yaki's band had offered to play last year, and we'd done some of the legwork to get ready for the movie night as far as reaching out to get some things scheduled. And really the biggest thing would be marking our own calendars just to have an idea of when we might want to do something, come summer. So last year we looked at kind of a mid to late July weeknight for a concert in the at Outhouse Park, and then a late August Friday night for a movie night. So I don't know if we want to kind of tentatively look at those dates or any other ideas on that.
I think we can look at those same dates again, well, the same approximate times again. And, really by May, we should have a good idea whether we'll be able to accomplish holding those events. I really don't see much problem with a movie event. You can pretty much wear masks and socially distance yourself. The band, I'm not sure about the band.
I'm thinking too, though, Mark, it's going to be, you're going to have individuals that are still going to be nervous about being out and about even.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? It's going to be tough
Yeah.
because I think it's going to go till next late next fall. I mean, I know at work, I have an event in Albany every year, November, a gala, and we're going to do it virtual again. We're just planning virtual again because so many people are still going to be nervous. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't know if they're going to look at the town for guidance, with that, or when it comes to a program, is that who we look to?
Well, I think it's going to come down to, I mean, everything still really is run out of Albany with, you can have a gathering with this many people but I just don't want to lose track if it is something that we think maybe we could pull off. And even if we say, okay, hey, look, we could maybe make a modified event and have, something a little different, but
Right, yeah.
Well, I
Should
think
we
the
get it on
important
the-
thing is,
I think we
I
should
think the
get something on I think we should get something on the calendar. We can always cancel, but to try to throw it together at the end, at the last minute. If we at least schedule a couple of dates for when we might do those things.
I mean,
agree.
weddings are at 150 right now. So, I mean, I think we have to put dates on the calendar to try to figure it out.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, you could, put them on to hold the dates, and then we should probably have a cutoff date where we got to decide, yes or no, for sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Depending
So-
on how much time we need to plan.
so last year we had shot for like I think it was like Thursday, July 23rd, or it was in talking with Tim Chappell with his band. He said to try to stay away maybe from Fridays and Saturdays because there's so many other events going on that maybe something like a Tuesday or a Thursday evening for a concert for a band would be a good thing. So I don't know if we would want to look at maybe that week of July. I think it's the
It would be
16th.
Thursday, July 22nd.
So
And there's a full moon.
so that'd be perfect. So
Perfect, right?
so maybe look at that kind of that week in July, just to kind of as a heads up right now without setting an exact date. And then we had looked at that a Friday in August 27th would be, I think, the Friday this
Yeah.
year. So
Right, that's right.
And we had tried to push it as late in August as we could because of each day the sun sets just a little bit earlier. So maybe we pencil in August 27th for a possible movie night.
That sounds good.
So if we could at least just start, I know we budgeted for both of those things for this year. So again, 2 events that hopefully we can proceed with and play it by ear and maybe reach out to some of the same people and ask them to pencil it in and get a feel for the food truck people and what they're thinking and maybe what they're willing to do. So, but if we get an idea on the calendar, I think if we're good with that, any other thoughts or concerns on that?
I think we're probably going to have to make a decision though by the end of May. What do
Oh,
you think,
absolutely.
Steph?
Yeah.
Yeah. To either go ahead or cancel.
So anything else? The next thing, and I really don't have a lot on this other, I guess, informational. Sarah, I don't know if this has come, across your desk at all, but I got a note from in regards to geese down at Onanda. There was a person that was concerned about some of the last couple of years with geese at Onanda. So they had sent an email to Kathy, just wondering if anything could be done or kind of if there was a plan for the geese at Onanda, and it was forwarded to me. So I'm throwing it on the agenda. I'm not sure, where to head with it. So
I got
Where-
a shotgun.
other than a shotgun. So
Was it
Where-
Tom Galisano?
Yeah,
it was not Tom.
they came from his place,
so
probably.
he scared him away. So
You
Sarah,
know-
I don't know what the town's approach has been to address the goose issue at the parks before, or what's come up at Onanda before.
Mark, I go down to Onanda Park, the lakefront part of it, pretty much 3 to 5 days a week. It's my
Perfect. You're
favorite
in
ride.
perfect. You're in
My-
charge of the geese.
I have never seen a goose on shore. I see them in the water, but I have never seen one on shore in that time. In fact, I was down there today. There were no geese.
I don't know. I've seen a lot of goose poop down on the docks and on shore down at Onanda. So
Okay, so it might be maybe on the beach, but I in the park, and I don't know. I've never seen them up by the cabins. I've never seen them anywhere else.
Well,
but in the water.
I think the concern is right around the beach area, the dock area. Sarah, I don't know if you've got any feedback or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, my kids swim in there a lot. They do come up on the water, you know, right on the edge of the water. They walk on the sidewalk there where the stones are on the other side of the dock. And they do walk on the beach. But as far as I know, what we've been doing the last few years is the staff rakes. And they do what they can in the morning, and they come back and they do it later in the day during the times when people are using the swimming beach. And then that area down there, you know, and then it gets chewed up when they mow. But just cleaning up, yeah, cleaning up when they can is what I think we've been doing the last few years.
Yeah, when Ben was a lifeguard there, he had to rake up the poop.
That's, as far as I know, that's what we still do. I haven't heard that there was going to be any other kinds of efforts, because they live there. We can't get rid of them.
Maybe we can hire a pooper scooper.
We hired Ben. Ben's gone now, though. We got to get Ben back. But I think it is something we would definitely make sure that we kind of keep an eye on and make sure that we're evaluating. And I know there hasn't been any.
There are known methods to kind of reduce it, but it involves letting the grass grow up as a buffer, and it has to be tall enough that it deters them because they feel unsafe. But you're not going to do that where people are picnicking and going to, you know, down to the water. So that's not really a viable option for us. So at this point, it's just cleaning up as much as they can. And yeah, I don't know. There could be someone else who has another idea that I'm not aware of, but that's all I know about.
Okay. The next thing, really kind of the last big thing, and I'd sent out a link to the Parks and Rec Master Plan goals. So, and I want to kind of just back off that a little bit because I haven't had a chance to sit down with Doug or talk to Troy. But if you look in the master plan, and I just clicked the wrong thing and covered up all my Zoom stuff. Hold on. Really, right in the front of the master plan, I believe it's called the executive summary in there. Page Roman numeral 1, 2, and 3. It kind of highlights the immediate needs at the parks and the short term, and they identified kind of the immediate as the year the plan was written, and then the short term really kind of years 2 through 4 or 5, which we've kind of lost track of a little bit with. I think year 2 was kind of a wash with you know, being able to do a whole lot at the parks, both budget wise and you know, parks maintenance staff tied up with mowing and everything else. But something I want, just make sure that we're keeping track of that. I know that there's been a lot of thought about at the different parks, really about the ADA compliant things and adding paths. And, you know, Troy's been doing that as he's had time and resources to do some of those things. So, you know, look through the Roman numeral 1, 2, and 3 right at the beginning of the plan. And I'll try to get a time to sit down with Doug and Troy and just see what we can cross off the list and you know, what's kind of the next big phase of moving forward with some of these goals. So, but again, I think it's important that we don't lose track of the master plan, you know, in making sure that as budget permits and work time permits, we are, you know, doing some of these things. But just a quick look, you know, some of the things at Onanda, improvements to the roof at the cabins, and ADA paths, and removing poison ivy. And so I know a lot of those things have been getting done, you know, short term. So we are rolling over, you know, in a couple of years, looking maybe at some of that longer range stuff. So I want to make sure we don't lose focus on that.
I have a couple things I thought of that do have to do with some of that. And I mean, not big things, but you guys probably already know we're doing a couple more roofs at Onanda this year. Crouch and Holden. So Crouch Hall and then Holden Pavilion, that little one down by the lake, they're going to get replaced probably this fall. And then MRB is working on some preliminary ideas to work on the driveway up in the uplands, the upper driveway. I don't think that's gotten very far yet, but I know that they're going to have something on that. And then I know you guys have talked about this before, but we are talking about maybe looking at either working on or replacing one of the cabins. I think it was Latani. So that's still in conversation. And then there was one thing I don't think anyone's talked about yet, but the local history team, the town's history team and the Environmental Conservation Board are interested in maybe doing or proposing to redo the content of that kiosk that's across the road, like where the stairs are that go up to the Uplands parking area. And it's in that little spot where you can go down in the gully and walk up the gully. It's like a raised platform with a little kiosk with like the blue plexiglass. Doesn't look like much has happened. I think the summer camp kids, like the arts and crafts programs, sometimes put stuff in there, but some of it's kind of faded and out of date. So I think there's a tie in between the ECB, our Environmental Conservation Board, and our history team. Sarah Linda Hooker sits on both of those groups, and they were wondering if there might be an opportunity for them to work together to put some new information in there, some history of the park, and then outreach about, maybe invasive species, since we are working on a project at that park with the hemlock woolly adelgid, and then there's the gypsy moth issue. So they kind of saw an opportunity, and I'd forgotten to mention it because she'd mentioned it to me a few weeks ago, but it might be something that you guys could chime in with too. They're just talking about it. There's not like actual content proposed yet, just ideas.
I think it's a great idea to make use of that. Maybe even a QR code there.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you've got the I want to say facility, but that's not really the word I'm looking for. You've already got the object there.
Yep.
The sign, and that one you can change anytime you want.
But
I
there's
think
enough people there that see that, though. That's the thing.
I mean, yes, people walk across that road all the time, but I have to admit, I walk across that road to go down and hike up the gully all the time, but I have only ever climbed up on that thing to look at it a couple times. Still,
Yeah.
it wouldn't get a lot, but they're right. The content is, some of it's old and faded, so
Right.
it's not a bad idea to replace it.
Somebody upset Mark.
We've lost Mark.
Yeah. I just wanted to bring it up to you guys in
Finally.
case you might have input on what would go in there, or if you also wanted to propose some content that could go in there too, if it's going to get, improved, if you guys had opinions on
Is there
what
a way,
should or-
is there a way to make that more available as people do go across the street to walk up the gully? They have to kind of pass through something that has that information in it?
It's right next to it, where
Yeah.
it is right now. I mean, they have to walk right by it. I mean, I look at it all the time, but I don't often walk. You have to go upstairs. It's kind of like a little.
Yeah, I know where it is. I'm just wondering if it'd be a great spot for maps of the rest of the other parks and trails that we have, and if there's a spot there for that, but
It's pretty big. You can put a lot of stuff in there. I think there's more than one panel too. So it's like already set up for sections,
I think if they've got any ideas or want to work on anything, I'm thinking it's a perfect spot to, especially with the invasive species and things like that. So
It sounds like it needs an updating regardless. So, I mean,
it does.
we should go at it.
Okay, well, when they have some more ideas, I mean, once we get the whole idea approved anyway, I'll let you guys know what they came up with, and you can chime in on it.
Sarah, any other information from the tree team? We had talked last month about maybe expanding kind of the bench program over to include adopt a tree or a sign for a tree. Have they had any more discussions at the tree team meetings, or?
They actually took the winter off, but we're meeting on the 8th. It was already planned when the public information session for the lakefront stuff got planned, but I think the tree team's still going to meet anyway. But so they haven't met since we talked about it. but I know they wanted to do it. It was just the logistics of how, but one of the things they're working on is a recommendation list of species to use like in parks and cemeteries for the town. So they've already got a draft of that. That's one thing they were kind of working on in the background over the winter. Just kind of as an internal, list that some of them who are arborists have said, these trees work well here. And then even more specific, this kind of tree would work well in rocky soil. This tree would work well in wet soil, that kind of thing. So, it's not like an official town document or anything. It's just kind of a list we can kind of use. So the trees are kind of already picked out. So I don't think it would be difficult. I think the hardest part is just, deciding where will we buy the trees, and then what kind of little plaque or other sign, would be used, because it won't, it's not going to be just like the benches. I know in this meeting we were talking about little signs that were on little stakes that could be put into the ground next to the tree. So yeah, that's the hardest part, just deciding how to recognize the person who's the sponsor and where we get the trees. But
they are still ready to keep moving forward with that. And
yeah, they
just getting
they still
back under
want to
motion
do
for the
that.
spring.
Yep.
Okay. And anything else? Karen had sent me an email before the meeting. Karen, you wanted to mention something about maybe some winter park activities or events or winter
Yes.
activities?
Yes, and I've been saying, actually, for as long as I've been on this committee, I've asked for winter events, and the city does a winter, the Downtown Businessmen's Association, they do a winter event that is well attended and enjoyed. We have Onanda Park, which this year is covered with snow. And it's a beautiful spot. It's large. And I have been, like I say, I go down there three to 5 times a week because, you're supposed to not go anywhere, but I go in my car. So a couple of times I've stopped when there have been many people going, using the hill for sledding. Yeah. And I have talked with a couple of parents of children, and I've just said, that I'm on the Parks and Rec committee, and I'm wondering if maybe there should be a winter type event. And from 5 different sets of parents, I got, oh my God, that'd be wonderful. Hold it during the break week.
Aaron, could we talk to the events committee and work collaboratively with them?
Yeah, that's part of it. But it's going to be both of us working together. But some of the ideas that when I've been going there that I've been trying to turn over in my head and I've been researching it, certainly the sledding is one. And they said, oh, it'd be great to have a food truck with hot cocoa, et cetera, over there. And then I'm thinking, well, another thing would be, there's that Eagle Scout trail up there in the park. That would be a great snowshoeing event for children, to have somebody come with snowshoes, do like a training for them and take them down that path part way. They don't have to go all the way. And there are games that they could hold in the flat land down by the lake. There's they could make snowmen, and we could bring food coloring. And certainly the events committee is really good at doing this because they have young people who have kids who have to deal with this. But it's an opportunity to take a weekend and make the park accessible to people to have fun in the winter. And, even if we don't have snow, you can still have fun. It would be outdoors. We could use one of the buildings as a warming room, but we could have food trucks. We could have different community organizations working with us, and certainly what Dave said, the events committee is appropriate.
Well, yeah, I mean, but I think they need to kick it off, and I don't think we can base it on snow,
No,
because
I agree. I agree. we
many
can't.
years, right.
Right.
So have Oksana kick it off and then throw it back at us. We'll figure something out.
Yeah, and I just think that people need to use that. Well, they are this year. They're using that park a lot. And the people I talked to, the one family I spoke to the other day, they said, even if there's no snow, it's such a great place to be, but it'd be really nice to be able to have a place to go where we can get warm. And it would really be nice to have a place where we could go for cocoa. Two things.
And Onanda has all of those facilities down there.
They
I
do.
mean, on the lakeside, obviously we have more. There's a fireplace, I think, in Crouch, and there's the kitchen in Gorham for hot cocoa, doing it on our, with the events committee or on our own. But I like the idea of food trucks. I love the idea of the snowshoeing. As you were saying it, I was thinking we could probably find some organization that rents them that maybe would partner with us and do like a snowshoeing demo, because we have all those trails on the uplands.
That was my thought too, that, so many people don't know how to use snowshoes, and children especially are taken by the snowshoes, because when I was a child, that was a real thing. But nowadays, they have the phone in front of their faces all the time. So it would be a great opportunity for children to see some different ways of enjoying the winter.
And I have to say, so we moved out to Bristol last summer. And so we tend to go into Honeoye to do stuff, and that's town of Richmond. And this last week, I didn't make it to everything they did, but they did a bunch of stuff for kids last week. One of the things I did go to was a sled dog demo over at Sandy Bottom Park. There's a big open field, and someone who's in a Seneca Siberian Husky
Yes.
organization or something.
Right, there is an organization.
They brought a sled and 4 dogs, talked. I mean, there were so many people there. You were talking earlier about, or no, I think it was Stephanie. She was worried about people not feeling comfortable going to events. But I think if it's outside, you'd be surprised how many people show up.
That's
there
right.
were lots of people there. Everybody was masked and everything, but they talked about the dogs. They talked about sledding and how it worked and the equipment. And then he hooked them all up and took a loop. And, it was, the town, I don't think had to do a whole lot, so I mean, it was easy to set up and it was well attended and people loved it. They also did a sledding day. I don't remember where they did it. It must have been on the other end of Sandy Bottom Park where there's a hill. And I'm
bringing it up
say
now.
They loved it. So
I'm bringing it up now because it's a full year from now that we would have to do something if we're going to do something.
I personally think that would be really fun. I would love to be involved in some winter events.
I do too. Yep.
Karen, do you still attend the events committee meetings or not?
Yeah, I'm on the events committee, but they haven't been meeting. We haven't been meeting.
Yeah, I think they took a lot of time off.
Yep.
Well, maybe I think this would be a good opportunity for them to plan an event, and like Halloween, once they've, where can we help out with the event?
Right.
So
okay.
Yeah. Really, what we need is a date on the calendar. You know what I mean, for next year, and we really need to. If you're going to base it on snow, you've got to base it on looking at what time of the year has the best likelihood of having snow. Let's just put it on the calendar and go, and we'll help the events committee wherever they need us.
Right.
I would suggest doing it during winter break when all the kids are out and people are looking for stuff to do. You could even do stuff during the week, and I think it would still be fine.
Yeah. Okay. I'll contact Oksana about it. I just wanted to run it by because it is in one of the parks, and I just think that if we show that we can utilize the parks even during the winter, I don't understand what these people are saying about Onanda Park not being used in the winter. I mean, that hill has been used a lot. Every trail there has many footprints in it, and the same, maybe not so much on the lakeside. I mean, that's where the old people go, but that uplands. I mean, even the Eagle Scout Trail you can tell it's been well used, even with the snow. So I think it's about time, that we encourage them to use it in the winter time and format some activities around it. So I'll call Oksana. I'll talk to her.
Thank you. Yeah, let us know. And again, nothing, I think it's a great opportunity to partner and just like with the Halloween event. So any others? We lost Stephanie. I promised to be out by 7, but.
There you
So
go.
Mark, not to throw another thing at it.
Oh,
but Karen-
Dave, come on.
Karen, can you also get a date from Oksana for the Halloween? Because we really should put that on the calendar.
Right. I'm just writing down here. Okay, for our Halloween.
So-
It's
Mike,
usually
You're not sure when Halloween is, Dave?
Well, it's, I
always
don't know.
the
I don't know
Saturday
how
before.
Well,
know.
or it could,
We
It's-
do
it's-
know what Halloween is. My gosh.
Historically, they've done it the Saturday before Halloween, a
Yeah.
No,
week.
it would be
a
the
week ahead.
30th. It would be the
No,
30th.
no, they usually do it a week before, don't they?
no,
Really?
we've actually done it on
On
Halloween.
Have you?
Halloween before.
Okay.
Yeah, we've actually
Yeah.
done it on Halloween.
I guess
So-
it's just coincidence that it fell like a week
Yeah,
before.
I think you're
last year.
looking at I think you're looking at the 30th.
I think
The
so too.
30th,
Okay.
right, that's
Yeah.
what I'm looking at.
I just know because I couldn't go 2 years in a row because it was cross country championships for my kids. So I couldn't go both times. And those are always like the 20 something.
That's a fun event.
Yeah, so throw that Oksana as well, and maybe we'll land on the 30th for sure.
Okay. I'll talk to her about that too. Actually, though, the last Halloween party was so successful the way they did it, and they appreciated our help. I don't think there is much question about how we do the Halloween party. It's just when we do it and that we're available to help. And now we have all you young guys here too. So that's great.
Any others? Looking at my list, I don't see anything else. Anybody? Well, they're almost out by 7, so we did a good job. Dan, we'll touch base in the next couple of weeks and kind of plan, kind of a trial QR type plan.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that sounds good.
okay. And Karen, you're going to touch base with Oksana on maybe getting some winter things and Halloween and looking
I
forward
will.
to that. So,
I will. I'll take care of that.
okay,
Karen, I'd
Sarah,
like to
anything
help
else
you with
for
that.
us?
What?
I was saying, Karen, I'd volunteer to help with that. I think that sounds
Okay.
really fun, the winter stuff.
Okay.
No, I don't have anything else. I think you covered everything and then some.
Well, good. Well, thank you. Hopefully, I'm guessing we're probably still going to be Zoom in a month. So, but
Yeah.
so
We're gonna
I-
be Zoom for a while.
Please,
I think
no.
so.
Oh, Jesus.
And I think, and I was talking to Doug about this the other day, we have a feeling that even when we're able to get back and meet in person again, now I know if you're meeting at a park, in the summer, that might be hard, but if you're meeting like in one of the town buildings, we may still be offering Zoom as an option for some people for a long time and maybe forever. I don't know, but not that we're not encouraging eventually trying to get back in person when it's safe, but a lot of people are really enjoying being able to meet from home.
Times they are changing,
Yeah.
really.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Thanks,
good night.
everyone.
Yep.
Have a
Goodbye.
good night.
All right.
Thank you,
Bye.
Sarah.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.